Hey everyone, it's Adam Mitchell here with Treasure Trading, and we are back with another trade recap. Today is September 27th, 2022, and I'm ending the day up $48. So that's pretty good. You know, I'm satisfied with that, I think. And again, if you guys aren't subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave a like. All right, so let's get into today's recap. So I'm ending the day up $48.88, which isn't quite to my profit target, but you know, I am more satisfied today than I was yesterday, you know, probably because I made more money. But I think I traded a little bit better than I did yesterday. There was a really big move on ATXI, but it just kept getting halted going up. So it's not like I don't really think I missed trades on that, because when stocks just are getting halted going up and they just keep resuming higher and keep halting up, it's like a gamble to get in on those types of trades, I think. So yeah, I mean, let's go over my trades from this morning. So I traded 4 stocks: ATXI, EQ, ILAG, and INM. All right, let's see what my first trade was. So EQ. So just looking at this, so I had mapped out this level on it from pre-market, these lows here at about 215, I think. And then I've got this level mapped out up here at 250. You know, I was looking for this thing to squeeze down into the open, down into this 215 range, and then I was going to get in and then see if we could get a nice squeeze up to 250. So this is the 5-minute chart right here. And as I fast forward, I wind up switching to the 1-minute chart as the bell rings. And I didn't get in this trade. All right, so we can see here that I've got my order placed. I think I put it at 217. So I've got my order out there for 200 shares at 217. And the bell rings and it starts squeezing up. So we can see right here, it starts squeezing up. And, you know, just looking at this, you know, we can see that there's this double bottom right here on the 5-minute chart. I think this is at 223. And then I'm going to press play here because I wind up switching over to the 1-minute chart. And on the 1-minute chart, we can see, so I just switched over. Well, we have this area of support at the 200 moving average on the 1-minute chart. So that could have been, you know, if I would have recognized that sooner, I could have gotten that trade. But I didn't see it, and I was instead expecting a dip at the open, and I could have got this move, but I just didn't get it. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that first, you know, because that was the first thing that happened this morning was I missed out on this trade, you know, because it wound up squeezing up nicely throughout the morning here, which we'll take a look at that as the video goes on. But let's see what my first trade was of the day. Okay, so ILAG. So here's my first trade on ILAG. I got in with 200 shares at 238. So at the open, we have this rip from 230 up into the 200 moving average at 245. And now we're backing off that level. And now we're coming into this mapped out resistance level, or this mapped out support level on the 1-minute chart here. And I got in, and now I'm looking for this thing to make a curl back up to maybe 245. And I think I wind up selling it at 245 maybe. Let's see what happens. So it's kind of squeezing up a little bit. You know what? I think I get stopped out on this actually. Yeah, right there I got stopped out. Okay, yeah, so this is actually an interesting trade to talk about. So I stopped out. I lost 11 bucks on it. And, you know, should I have stopped out right there? You know, the reason I did was because there was this double bottom at 235. So I'm thinking that if it breaks that level, it's probably going to squeeze down, I guess. But really, I probably should have stopped out below the low of day instead. You know, because what winds up happening is I think it starts to curl up off of this level here. Yeah, so we can see it's holding up, and now I've got an order out here to buy. So let's see what it does. So I canceled that order, and we can see again that it's coming down into these levels at 233. and it's holding, right? So now we have a double bottom at 233. So let's see what happens. So here we go. So right there, I mean, we got a pretty big squeeze up into this level at 245. So this was profit that I missed out on, right? Like, I was originally wanting to see this thing squeeze up back here when I originally got in. So I got in right here and I was expecting it to squeeze up and then I'd take profit into this level, right? Because it was probably going to come up into resistance and back off of it just like it did right here. And so, you know, but that's not what happened. It kind of just bounced around, but I could have still been holding it because it didn't hit my max loss of $20. But then at the same time, you know, I'm not really sure about when to be cutting losses. I know that I have to at least cut my loss if it hits my max loss, you know, because there have been multiple times where I stop out at a price that I think is good, but it actually turns out to be the wrong place to be stopping out and it turns up off that level. And so that was kind of like what we have here, you know, so, you know, it's just stuff to think about. But so this is what happens. It comes up into this level at 245. And I got in with 200 shares as it dipped off that level at 238. Okay, so now I'm looking for this thing to test 245 again, and I'm going to take profit if it tests that level. So let's see what happens. So we're making a bounce, right? We're making a bounce off that level. So there we go. So it winds up squeezing up and I took profit. So I was down 11. Now I'm up $2.50. So I'm like, all right, cool. We're not red anymore. All right, let's see what we can make happen. Like, let's see what we can do this morning. So let's see here. What's my next trade? All right, so this trade on EQ, I missed this one because this thing dipped down nicely down to 235. And now we're back up to 242. And I think it really makes a nice curl up off that level, right? So now we're up at 247. I mean, this was a nice move that I missed. You know, this is EQ, the one that I was talking about before, where it was holding up at the 200 moving average and it squeezes up, dips down to 230, rips up off that level, goes up to 250, makes another pullback into 235, rips back up to highs up to 253 maybe. It's like, man, lots of opportunity here to just ride this wave and to get good entries and to take profit into these levels. I mean, this is where I had my level mapped out, was at 250, and it's proven to be a pretty solid level that it's been selling off of. All right, so let's see what my next trade was. Okay, so my next trade, we're on EQ still. So we pulled back off that level. Now we're hanging out at support here. I'm in with 200 shares at 243, and I'm looking for a retest of the 250 level. Let's see what happens. So here we go. We're getting a nice bounce off of that level, and I've got my order set to sell at 249, so right below 250. And man, dude, it rejected off that level pretty hard, and I didn't take any profit on it. I wasn't able to make money on it. Yeah, that sucks. I forgot about that. So, you know, that's one of those instances where my emotions can flare up, but, you know, I think I've been doing a good job at keeping my emotions out of this, you know, really just focusing on the setups. And, you know, typically something like this would like really kind of upset me, where I'm just like, dang it, I just wanted it to get to where I wanted it to go. And it didn't. But I mean, wow, just looking at this chart right now, you know, we have this candle here probably has a high of 247, 247, 247, 247. We can see this very obvious level of resistance that there was a lot of profit taking at, right? So that's a mistake that I made, I think, was not recognizing that. So I should have taken profit like everybody else did at that level. But yeah, so that was a trade on EQ. All right, let's see what my next trade was. Okay, so right there, I took a dip entry down into this 230 level, right? It didn't come down all the way to 230, but I bought it, 200 shares, 233, and now I'm looking for this thing to come back up and test highs again at 250. So let's see what happens. So now I switched over to the 5 minute. You know, this is the 1 minute chart, and then this is the 5 minute, or maybe I switched back over. Yeah, so this is the 5 minute right here. So we came down into the 20 moving average. You know, it wasn't an exact tap, but it was close enough. I'm in 200 shares at 233, and now I'm looking for this thing to make a curl up. And I think I definitely left some money on the table with this one. But let's see what happens. So it's holding up. We have this clear double bottom now at, let's see, 232. So it's holding up. Let's see what happens. I think I wind up buying another 100 shares. So right there, I decided to buy another 100 shares. So now I'm in with 300 shares at 233, and I'm going to be stopping out if it comes below this double bottom, but maybe even if it comes below 230, right? Because, you know, like I was mentioning before, I've been having this problem of getting stopped out, and then it bounces off of those levels that I'm getting stopped out at. But yeah, you know, that's my idea, is that if it flushes down, I mean, I'm going to sell it. You know, my max loss per trade is 20 bucks. So like if I'm selling it maybe for the crack below 225, that's going to be closer to $30 of a loss. But I don't know, I probably would have sold it maybe somewhere down here, which, you know, that would look like it's selling it at a support level, which is where you should be buying it. So, I mean, that's how this can just get a little bit tricky sometimes, is not really knowing where to stop out and such. But so, yeah, I'm in with 300 shares at 234, basically. So I'm waiting for this thing to make a nice curl up. And I think I sold this thing early, but let's see what happens. So so I went ahead and sold it. I'm up about 750 on this stock right now. Let's see what, right? So before I bought it, I was down about 340, and now I'm back up to 758. Okay, so this is an interesting spot here. So I have an order out to buy 300 shares for the dip down back into these levels, because now I'm thinking that this stock is going to be trading within a range between VWAP and these lows right here. So between about 233 and 240 is where I'm thinking this thing's going to be bouncing between. So I've got my order set at 233 to buy 300 shares. Let's see what happens. So we're making a dip right there. We're down at, it hit a low of 234 on that candle. Now we're inching down a little bit. Okay, so I got filled. So I'm going to press play on this. Okay. Not sure how slow this is going to be, but so, okay, so there we go. I just got filled at 233, and now I'm looking for this thing to ride up into the highs again of the range. So it's kind of holding up a little bit. Now we're getting a bit of a squeeze, and I just go ahead and sell it right there. Now, so now I'm up, you know, about $17 on this stock. But, you know, what winds up happening is it winds up squeezing up even higher, I think. And, you know, that's money that I left on the table, which is a problem that I'm having. But let's see what happens. I honestly forget. I think it winds up squeezing up. Yeah, so now we're up here at 241, right? I think I sold it. I don't even know where I sold it. I think I sold it at 237 maybe. I mean, that's another 5 cents of profit on 300 shares. That's 15 bucks, right? So if I was still holding it, I would be up another $15 on this stock. But let's see what happens on it, if it continues to squeeze up or not. I think that might have been my last trade on this thing. You know what? It actually wasn't my last trade. I wind up trading it some more, but we're going to get to that. So let's see what happens. Okay, so this is my trade on ATXI. So as we can see on ATXI, this thing just ripped up from $5.50 all the way, and that's at like 9:30. So at 9:30 this morning, the stock was at $5.50, and about 20 minutes later, it's up at $9. I mean, that's insane. It just kept squeezing up and getting halted. And here we have a dip off of the highs. So this thing went up to a high of 9, backed off. Now we're at 850. I pressed a buy. I got filled at 856, and now I'm looking for this thing to ramp up back into the highs and maybe through it over 9. And this is again, this is a halt resumption trade, which these can be really tricky and really volatile. And if you're not sized in correctly, and if you're not really focused on the stock, you can find yourself sitting on a big loss if you're not careful. So I got in this thing with 50 shares at 856. Now that might have been a bit of an aggressive trade based on how much I'm risking per trade, right? I should only be losing $20 per trade. And so taking a 50 share position at 856, that means I'm going to be stopping out of this thing around 810, which this thing could very easily flush through 810 down to 750, right? And so, maybe I should have taken smaller size on this thing, but we'll see what happens here. So we can see right there. So here, I'm going to press play. Okay. So there we go. I just pressed buy. I'm waiting for it to really squeeze back up. And this thing flushes all the way down to 820. It could have very easily just dropped off. And this is where I can get myself into some serious trouble on these stocks. So I'm still holding it, just waiting for it to really rip up again. And we can see that it's getting a bit of a ramp up, and I just go ahead and sell it. And I locked up about $7. And as we can see, it came up and tapped 9 again. It winds up breaking through 9, which of course I'm then, 926, 934, right? But now we're right back down to 9. But, this thing just really ramps up. Let's see what happens right here. So there's 945, 950. Boom. If I was holding that thing for this dollar move, that would have been a $50 trade, right? Because I had 50 shares at 856, and now we're up at 957, and we're about to get halted again. So it's like, man, dude, so much profit that I missed on that move. But at the same time, it just seemed really risky. So once I saw some green, I just got out of it. All right, let's see what came next. All right, so switching gears back over to EQ. So I'm feeling maybe a bit of FOMO here because it's holding up and I sold it, a few cents lower than what it's currently at. And I'm thinking, maybe it's not exactly FOMO. Maybe it's me just realizing that, hey, this thing has more potential and it's setting up nicely right here. So maybe there's another trade to take on this thing. So let's see. So right here, it starts to pop up and I get in with 200 shares at 244. And now I'm looking for this thing to retest 250. But I sell it early. It pops up just like a little bit and kind of backs off, and I locked up like another $1 maybe. But we can see it. Let's see here. yeah, so we can see right here that it really winds up, you know, making that push up into that level. So I'm going to press play right here. So it's about to break this 246 level. So boom, it just came right up into that level and backs off of it. And so when I see something like this, where I'm getting good trades at these lower levels and my back of mind target is this upper level here, and I'm selling it way down here, you know, that's when I start to think like, how do I not miss that? Do I just sell half when it comes up into these levels, or do I sell the whole thing and then just buy back half when it breaks, or do I buy back the whole thing if it breaks? I mean, I just got to figure that out, because this is money that I should be making, right? Because the idea is I get in down here and I get out up here. Like, that's the idea, and I have to stick with it until it really proves to me that it's not going to make it up there, right? But there was nothing about this that showed me that it was going to be coming down, right? It breaks to the upside, it pulls back, it's still holding the levels. Now we have a bit of a breakout here, and now we're just making our way up. And and you know, that's the kind of stuff that we look for as day traders, right? I mean, these are the moves that pay us. So I need to be making more on these trades still. You know, that's something that I need to work on, like really work on. So, all right, let's see what happens throughout the rest of the video here. And yeah, so I'm going to press play on this right here. So this is ATX, so this is EQ. You know, we got this pullback off this level back into support, which could have presented a buying opportunity for that ramp back up into this level. Now, what I'm about to show you is something that happens frequently with stocks. And it's the type of thing that only rookies will fall for. Only people, you know, traders who are maybe newer. I mean, but here's the thing. I fall victim to this too still sometimes, which is like, dude, what are you doing? Because, you know, it's just a totally rookie move to get sucked into these types of moves. So I'm going to press play. So we're about to get the break up through 250, and I've got my finger on the buy button, but I'm not hitting buy because, you know, these breaks through the high like this will suck in a lot of people, and then boom, we get a big sell-off just like that, and you can see me just getting in and then popping out again because I'm just like, what am I doing here trying to buy this right now? But I mean, these are the types of moves that would freaking kill me like all the time, because I'm like, oh, it's breaking out, it's gonna squeeze up like crazy, and then boom, it gets freaking smacked down super hard. And yeah, it's only the new traders, like people who haven't really been doing this for that long, that get smoked on these types of moves, right? So yeah, you know, I just wanted to show that real quick. So yeah, that is all my trades on EQ. All right, let's see what happens next. Okay, so going back to ILAG. Okay, so I got in with 200 shares at 243. So we can see this very obvious level of resistance at the $2.49 mark, you know, which is basically 250, right? We've got the resistance here at 250. There's 250 here, but we have this quadruple top here, a flat top. We have a flat top here at 249, you know, but I'm pretty convinced that we are going to get the break. So I'm buying this dip, you know, at least a test of this level again, but I'm pretty convinced that we're going to get the actual break. So I'm buying this dip right here. Right here, I'm going to back up on this just a little bit. Right, so I'm watching this thing. I'm waiting for this thing to pull back. And we're getting a little bit of a pullback here because I'm thinking that we're going to get a nice dip and then a rip up. So there we go. We're pulling into those levels. So there we go. I go ahead and buy. I mean, this trade was just flawless. I mean, I don't know if I sold it at the best possible price, but I got in at a really good price. So I'm in at 243, you know, pulled back to 242. And now I'm looking for this thing to make a nice curl to the upside. So let's see what winds up happening. So boom, we got a nice big push up. And I think I sold half maybe at 250 or something. Yeah, let's see what I did. I don't remember. Here, I'm going to press play. So boom, I'm selling half there, and then I'm selling the other half up at 255. All right, so now I'm up about 19 bucks on this stock. Like, this was a really good trade. I mean, I love it when it happens like that. You know, I'm getting a really good entry. You know, I feel like a true professional, a true trading professional. Like, I know what I'm doing when the trades work out so perfectly for me. Like, I get this awesome dip, and then boom, this thing rips up so nicely. I'm feeling pretty good after that trade. Like, I really feel confident in my trading abilities. But I don't want to get overconfident. I just want to come into each day and take good trades, just like that one. All right, let's see what my next trade was. You know, that might have been my last trade on ILAG. Well, let's see what it wound up doing after that. Yeah, let's pull it up here. So, I mean, it did wind up squeezing up higher, up into this line at 263. This mapped out line that I had from pre-market. I mean, what? Like, I think I'm just getting really good at putting these lines in. Let's see why I put that line there. I mean, I think I just put it there because it was like through the middle of all this garbage right here. Like, it just seemed like a good spot for it. And I mean, dude, it came right up into this line and backed off of it and couldn't break it. And then it finally broke it right here. And when it did that, it gave a nice pop up. But yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that I need to get better about is holding into specific profit targets. But if we're looking at it, I mean, we got all this stuff to the left, but you know, this was a nice pullback here after that move, right? So we get the move up to 255, 256, and then it pulls back to 248, you know, which kind of corresponds with these levels of support here, right? So this was previous resistance, and now it's support. So like, this could be a place to buy back in. And I mean, the highs of these candles here, 248, 248, 248, right? 249, 249, 249, 249, 248. So we pulled back into all of that support, and off of those levels, we bounced up nicely. And we formed this double top right here, which when that breaks, you can be getting in, and it squeezes up here to 262. So, you know, that's more profit that I left on the table. You know, when I'm up, I just get more and more nervous, I guess, about my next trade because I don't want to give back what I've made, which, you know, I'm still working on that. But yeah, I mean, we can see here that it just kept trading within this range, right? It kept bouncing off the lows here at 250, making its way up. And then we could see here that it's starting to trend downward, and then it finally cracked down below this level. But, you know, it wound up making a comeback later in the, later in the afternoon. But yeah, let's see what my next trade was. Okay, so my next trade, and I think this is my last trade, was on INM. So INM is making these big moves, right? I mean, this thing ripped up from 540 all the way up to $8, pulled back all the way back down to 650, and ramped back up all the way to 830. You know, I think this was in sympathy to ATXI. right? So we had ATXI making big moves, and then INM started making big moves too. And so I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking that this is an area of consolidation. It's an area of possible support that price is going to hold up at and make a nice curl back up. So, but I want to get in closer to $7 a share because the low of this candle here was 706. So I'm like, all right, I won't really feel really feel all that comfortable taking a trade on this unless it pulls back just a little bit more. So let's see what happens. So it pulls back a little bit more, and I got in with 25 shares at 706. So, you know, I'm taking smaller size on this, you know, mainly because we have this big range on it, right? So 25 shares, you know, if I'm going to be stopping out, I'm probably going to be stopping out below 650. And that would have produced, you know, about a that would have produced maybe a $10 to $15 loss, you know, because that's about 50 cents a share or so. And so, you know, I'm thinking that we are going to get a nice turnaround off this level. But what do I do? It's kind of popping up a little bit. Okay, so it's popping up a little bit. So now we're up at 720, 730. And let's see. So I went ahead and sold it, and I made like $3. You know, I'm just like, whatever. I really don't care. For some reason, I'm just like, I'm just going to sell it. And, you know, looking at what it did, I mean, look at what this thing did. It wound up curling up all the way up to 760, which, you know, that could have added nicely to my profit for sure. I'm not exactly sure how much higher it went off those levels, but I mean, this is profit right here. This is opportunity to be making profit. I got a great entry down here at the lows. It turned out to be a level of support, and it bounced up, you know, from $7 all the way up to 770 almost, you know. I mean, that's a really good move. That's like a 10% move. And so, you know, I didn't make anything on that. You know, let's see what that stock wound up doing, actually. I mean, man, we can see this thing. Man, I'm going to draw in some lines here. So this thing was holding up at this trend line, right? So like we can imagine that none of this junk is here yet. You know, just drawing this line based off of this level and this level produces a line for price to continue to bounce off of. And then if we were to map out these levels here at the highs, right? These candles here, you know, let's just say 7, you know, right here. You know, these came up into 775, right? Which the $0.25 is a natural area of resistance and support. So, I mean, there was a lot of opportunity here to just, you know, trade these ranges. You know, you're selling it up here. You're buying back on the dips, right? You know, selling it up into these resistance levels at VWAP, buying back down here. I mean, that's how I want to be trading, is like buying into these levels of support, selling into areas of resistance. And then when the market's really, really hot, you know, that's when the breakout setups are really powerful. You know, like the 1 minute pullback and the 5 minute pullback, right? Where it goes up, comes down, and then breaks out again. I mean, we have been seeing some of that. Like we kind of see it. I mean, we do see it over here, right? Like this is a great breakout setup. Squeezes up, pulls back, breaks out again, right? It's just, I personally wouldn't really trust this in this kind of market right now. Because look, you know, look at what this breakout did. Breaks out, flushes down super hard. But we were coming up into the highs, but we were also coming up into the highs back here. So it's just tricky. You know, what I'm finding is working right now is trading within ranges and buying the dips at support and selling it into resistance. So that's what I'm going to continue to do in this market. And yeah, I think that is all of my trades from the morning, ending the day up $48. I am satisfied with that, but of course there's always more money to be made. And again, if you guys like these videos, please do me a favor and subscribe and leave a like. And I will see you guys in the next video. All right, guys.